proudly we hail, and the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fights, oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallant
What's up, guys? Hey, how are you? Repeat back with you. And yeah, it's Thursday night. That means it's time for these Cup guys to take their turn around the old concrete canyon. Last great Coliseum, however you want to call Bristol, it is well worth the name or the nickname. As always, got the one and only Word Burton in the booth. And for the first time, you guys have heard his voice all week long. Sub for me when I had no internet on Tuesday night with the Cup Series. He called that race very gracefully with the one and only Lucky Dog, who was with me last night for the Xfinity race. Everybody, I hope you'll welcome back the one and only Rick James, Rick and Word. Man, we're getting further and further into this NNR season. Here we are, Bristol Motor Speedway. A lot of great racing already this week. Tonight, the Cup guys, they're going to cap off what's been a lot of fun, a lot of action, a lot of great racing all the way around. Rick, I'm going to start with you. Man, first of all, welcome. Thank you very much for the help on Tuesday night. How you feeling? And you kind of had a little bit of a time to get to know some of these drivers. Any special vibe from anybody out here tonight, buddy?
Hey, Pete, it's my absolute pleasure to be here for the very first time in the NNR Cup Series, and what a way to do it. Bristol. And it's gonna be a fantastic night tonight. One thing that I'm looking forward to is seeing how these drivers manage to stay off of each other after the truck and the Xfinity series showed a lot of action toward the end of the race. Standouts, I'm not going to count my chickens, honestly. There's a couple of guys out there. Asylums looks good to me. Last night we saw King Mathers and Combat Beast do incredibly well in the Xfinity series, managing their tires. So I would expect whoever manages tires best to come away first.
And then we got, of course, the one and only Word Burton. Word, welcome back for yet another week, buddy. We've had a pretty good season so far, calling these races on Thursday night. It's our first race here at Bristol. Same thing, man. You've gotten to know a lot of these drivers as well. Hell, you even race against a few of them during the week. How you doing tonight? And any picks out there, sir?
Well, first off, Pete, I'm doing very well tonight. I'm excited. After a week last week at Homestead, where we saw arguably the best race all season, in which Stout Whiskey picked up a victory, I look at tonight to be yet another very fun race. We're going to look through the first stage. It's going to be maybe a little bit spread out, but as the race goes on, I expect to see a lot of side-by-side racing. One driver in particular, and I mean, his name's obviously brought up every week, here tonight in particular, has to have a good race, and that's CGMX Rose. Arguably, as everyone knows, he's been the fastest driver this season. He's been the fastest driver this week at Bristol, and for him, it's been a struggle to close out races. While, yes, he does have 2 victories this season, imagine how many wins he would have had already had he not made mistakes. Looking for a perfect race out of Rose here tonight to try to, again, pick up a big victory at Bristol, which is not easy at all for 250 laps. Also look for him to be a lot more conservative than he's been in races past.
Rick, I'll actually bring that back to you as he says, a bit more conservative. We saw Combat Beast go the entire first stage on his tires and his fuel last night. Now these Cup cars are a little bit faster. Their gearing is a little bit different. They don't quite turn the same as the Xfinity cars or the trucks. Do you think anybody tries to gamble and just like Combat Beast did last night, puts 3/4 of the field a lap down in the first stage to where you've got everybody in the back clamoring for track position throughout the second and third stage?
Tires are going to be the name of the game tonight, especially considering how many laps we have to run. I wouldn't expect to see anybody go the entire first stage on one set of tires, but I would have told you the same thing last night in the Xfinity series. Tonight, you need to open up that Rick James dictionary, look in the P section, and patience is going to be that prime word today. Number 2 you're going to need to look out for is tire management. You could even file that in a subsection under patience. Expect to see guys shoot out of a cannon at the beginning, but look in the mid-pack for that sleeper, that guy that takes his time, manages tires, and is patient to put himself in the first position.
Man, I tell you, word, a guy that as he's talking, patience and a little bit of aggression, but knows when to go. I'm seeing stout whiskey. And the name just came right to me as he's talking. I mentioned a little bit ago, and I put it out there in Twitterverse earlier that stout whiskey's going for 3 in a row. So he broke out the broom last year. Can he start off this season with a W right here at his favorite short track? Get it knocked out a little early. Again, this season's not a win and you're in. You got to be consistent all week long. I'm sorry, all season long, and has been that as well. He's been very consistent. Had a little bit of bad luck, got collected at a couple inopportune times. But whenever is it opportune to get collected or get sent to the back by something not of your doing? But man, I gotta roll with the driver of that Deuce old stout whiskey. I think he's gonna absolutely be a threat here. He'll be around. We'll be talking about that Ford Mustang pretty often. Rock NASCAR, thank you very much for coming out. Appreciate all the bits, all 200 of them. But buddy, I appreciate you even more. Finesse, see you. Thanks for coming out tonight, sir. Hope you're well. But yeah, word. So you got CGMX Rose. I'm gonna take stout. We'll have to see. We'll let Rick maybe pick somebody as we get into this, maybe before the end of stage 1, we'll say. I don't know. But, man, these guys are done qualifying. It's going to be just a little bit longer before we get them on the track. I'm sure Coey and Stout Whiskey and J-Pa and Boehner, most of the series admins run in the Cup Series, so they're probably getting out those last few minutes of instruction where they can fill the pit, where they're going to where they can merge back up, although Bristol doesn't really give a whole lot of leeway. It's pretty much in and out. There's really no going around the track like what we might see at a larger track or at a cookie cutter or super speedway or something like that. But word, this is going to be a lot of fun. 250 laps. I believe this is the night race, if I'm not mistaken. Looking forward to see how these things shine under the light. That's what it is.
Indeed, I'm looking real forward to see how these cars shine under the lights. Obviously, it's not going to be shining like the real-life NASCAR All-Star race was here, if you remember a little while back with all the neon lights under the cars.
Oh, yeah.
However, when you look at it here tonight, I think the big thing, Rick obviously mentioned patience a little while back, Pete. It's very hard when you don't have track position night to be patient, especially with it being in the dark. Cars are going to start getting looser a lot quicker, especially in that first run. So I think we're going to see some aggression, if I'm being honest, early on. Now, obviously, you have 20 or so cars that are going to try their best to be competitive. If I'm being honest, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a couple cautions early, because the balance of these race cars, no matter what default you go with, really start to fall apart after 5 or 6 laps once you start to work up the scene.
Now I talked to Rick. I talked to Silent Killer yesterday or the day before, and he said one guy that was fast. I mentioned earlier, CJMX Rose. He was heads and tails above the rest in a couple of their practices. And I asked him. I said, "Man, so what thinking about as far as slider?" He goes, "Pete, I'm not looking any further than the 1. So 1 is really where it's going to be, and I'm hoping that we're going to see a whole lot of great side-by-side racing, as Word just said. Not a whole lot of slideways, although that makes it makes it even more entertaining. I just got the invite from J-Pot, so I'm going to get these invites out to you guys right now. Word, I'm hoping you're showing online, buddy. Let's see.
I will hold on.
No, that's okay. I can scroll on down, try to find you here right quick. Oh, you are way offline. Okay, hold on. How do I add you? And where are you?
Yeah, I just reappeared online, so that may help.
I still don't see you.
That is very weird.
Yeah. Oh, wait. There you are. I just passed you. Okay. All right, guys, sorry about that. All right, so now we got the invites out to the one and only Rick James and Word Burton. And, Word, just as you called, it's going to be the 42 of CGMX Rose. Hashtag Young Gun, hashtag Grow with Rose, as it was during the Pro League with the 9 car of More Smoke, another big favorite to the outside. Then we got the 17 of the Aviator. I swear these guys are like inseparable. Then you got the 95 of Jose 95. 48 of NNR Rowdy. Seems like, the cream always rises to the top, whether it's the race or qualifying. 36 of Boehner. There's the 2 of Old Stout Whiskey. 77 of Mike Honcho. 43 of Sweeter Feed. 11 of Silent Killer. 47 of Augustus. 88 of the one and only Alpha York. 18 of Ingalls. 41 of Dan the Lawn Man. 21 of Parsvolt. 19 of Solo. Welcome back, buddy. 38 of Fatless Dig. 12 of Knights. 22 of the one and only J-Pa, 32 of NNR Drake, 51 of Daddy B, welcoming him back to NNR, 3 car of Outlawed, 4 car Natty Dread, 24 of Coey, 16 of Trip, and we are back on the backstretch. Boy, am I grateful for these pace laps to get that all in. Ladies and gents out there in chat, that is your field here for Bristol, and it's actually going to be the day race. Myth, welcome to the chat. Good to see you, sir. We're getting ready to go. Word Burton, take us green, sir.
Indeed, as they cross the start-finish line, CGMX Rose getting a big jump over a More Smoke as they work their way through turn number 1 and 2. Already are starting a single file out as Rose, for the moment, has the advantage. Now, expect these guys here to really start to close up just a little bit. While the draft is ideally minimized, the cars on the tighter setups tend to really be able to back up the corners. And you have to wonder, Rick especially, could More Smoke utilize that to his advantage here on the restart, essentially maybe start to challenge about 5 or 6 laps in here on the 42.
More Smoke in that number 9 UniFirst Camaro right behind that 42 of Rose. Another lap ticks down, and these 2 Chevrolets comfortably nose to tail. But here comes the Aviator in that number 17. Sonny D Ford sitting in 3rd place. Behind him, Jose in the number 95 Portal Camry. Then NNR Rowdy rounding out the top 5 in that white Ally Chevrolet. Now another lap comes down, and that leaves us with just under 55 to go in the stage. Single file for the leaders, Pete. They are doing well, but still just a little bit too rowdy.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to see all this, Rick. Just like in the Xfinity race last night, for the first opening laps, it seems like everybody just kind of hovered around that high line until it came in or until it was time to get racy. Then they try to dive it to the bottom without sliding up. For the most part, didn't really see any cautions due to dive bomb errors. But right now, for the most part, running that high line, keeping the momentum up. At the same time, they're not really having to turn the wheel all that much, so they're not scrubbing off that right front. Might be using a little bit more of the right rear, but like you said, over 50 laps left here in stage number 1, where everybody's single file for the most part all the way around this half-mile Coliseum.
Everyone's single file with the exception of 2 cars, and it's Stout Whiskey and Boehner side by side. I believe this is about the battle for 6th. But one car I'm looking at particular, to be honest, that is dedicated to that high side early on, is slowly migrated towards the middle, is Jose 95X in that 95 car, honoring Bear, who, as we know, in NASCAR Pro League driver, going through some scary moments in his life as the moment, as he's had some issues this past week in the community coming together. Jose, it would be big for him to not just pick up a stage victory potentially today, but take home a victory for his Pro League teammate in honor of him.
Yeah, absolutely. You see that last name of Harbin across the back piece of Lexan as he's coming through turns 3 and 4 right now, getting to the start stripe. Bear or Mrs. Harbin, Amber, if you happen to come on out and catch this, just know that we're absolutely thinking of both you and the Bear. It was great to meet both of you guys at Charlotte last year. Hopefully Bear pulls through, and maybe we can all meet up again. It'd definitely be nice to do that if we can get rid of all this COVID crap. But Rick James, top 3, top 4, a whole lot of separation between them. Then there's a little pack, and there's a big old pack, almost, there's that proverbial hornet's nest a little bit further in the back again.
Pete, that's where the action is going to be now. 46 laps to go when they cross the line. 42.9, 17 your top 3. Aviator now looking to the inside of a more smoke in that 9. That Star-Spangled Sunny D Mustang starting to put the pressure on. Jose 95 is doing well in that car, but he slid out of the 4th position where Rowdy now resides. That number 48 Ally Camry starting to lose pace on the top 3. But again, Pete, tires. How fast can you afford to go without burning up the Goodyear rubber?
I don't think you go very fast. It's gonna be interesting to see, who got it right. Who's gonna have it right from the get-go. Low on the slider, maybe adjust from there, or is this one of those tracks where you pretty much stay the same because the balance matches your driving style? Right here, keeping up with the 48 of Rowdy, as Rick just said. You see the 2-car Stout Wiz, last season's 2-time winner right here. Again, mentioned he pulled out that broom. He'd love to make it a 3-peat and really get up there and show Rose that he cannot run off with the season. Get up with the more smoke, get up with the Aviator, but first he's going to have to get past this Ally 48 of the one and only Rowdy.
He's going to have to make moves, but the hardest part about Bristol, if I'm being honest, is on the long run making moves. This is typically a 1-lane track here in NASCAR heat. Then yet again, if you look farther back in the field, in particular, the battle right now with Dan the Lawn Man, we've seen these cars already, Pete, 2 and 3 wide battling for position. So if I'm being honest, I think the best way you get around a car this early on, well, giving the bumper. It's really the only option you have. And I'm eager to see here, looking at the Aviator, for example, who's obviously going to be very patient behind a more smoke. What is going to be his go time? We know there's probably going to be 1 pit stop potentially due to the tires in this first stage. But the question is, what strategy do you play at that given time? Do you take 2? Or are your tires good enough to go on a fuel, or just rather go all the way without the pit stop?
I don't know, and Rick, maybe you can agree or disagree, as we got about 38 laps remaining here in stage number 1, and I did it again. I forgot to put up that old stage sticker. But Rick, do you think it's too early to really be ruffling any feathers, damaging any sheet metal? Pushing someone's bumper just a little bit closer to their back seat, as it looks like there's quite a few cars on the apron that might have gone around in an early caution. We'll have to see if Coey calls an audible and brings out the yellow ordinance. But do you think it's too early to be rubbing bumpers?
Too early or not, Pete, it's already happened. What you saw was the 24 of Coey spinning out of that second corner. There's that 3 Dow Chevrolet that's also gotten a little loose as well. You saw the 38 car was also involved in that one. CGM Rose now starting to lap cars, and that 16 of NNR Trip was also involved in the action as well. So the cars not shy to not to give the bumper music, which is, it's Bristol. It's typical Bristol, Pete. It's what they need to do to get around, but it's only stage 1. They're not exercising very good patience.
No, trying to. By now, everybody's tires are pretty much equalized, where they're really just working on their line, trying to keep it off the wall, not get any damage from out there if they don't have to. Been riding around with the 95 of Jose, again, driving that Josh Harbin, or the Bear 95's Pro League scheme. There's a lot of separation, so you got to figure if they're going to catch somebody, they're going to make every attempt at getting past them. So while patience is absolutely key at a track like Bristol, at some point you got to make some kind of a move before the tires are just too far gone. You see the 48 and the 16 a Trip with a little bit of contact right there.
And the one thing, Pete, that's going to really have the impact on the stage, obviously we already see Rose starting to navigate lap cars, but he's really had the opportunity to only have to go 1 by 1 here without catching a gaggle. I think if Morgan can continue to keep his nose clean, it may give him a chance. Now look, Rose, he has to go to the top side here of the 32. He'll get around. The more Rose has to really shift and alter his lane, disadvantage bigger wise he's going to be in. I'm looking at his line here as he goes into 3. He really holds it like a realistic line, what we see in real life. He goes full send towards the center of the corner, keeps the nose straight, and then he really starts to turn and jab in the center to keep it as low as he can. But the problem is that when he goes to the high line here, Rick, he just isn't able to do that, which really kills his tires as well as his time. If the drivers continue to force him to go to the high side, it could really slow down this 42 as we're starting to see the 9 starting to really start to catch here.
The 42 of CGM Rose just lapping cars and making another lap on this racetrack. He's starting to pull ahead from the 9 of Amore Smoke and the 17 of Aviator. There's going to be 25 laps to go the next time they cross the line, and they have yet to come down pit road. So far, these 3, the 42 of Rose, the 9 of Amore Smoke, and the 17 of Aviator, have shown that they can brilliantly manage tires without any delay. The 48 of Rowdy remains stuck behind lap traffic, and that's not going to help his tire strategy coming to the final 20 in this stage. Pete, this is a telling story to what the rest of the race will look like, but with the limited space and the patience that will run out in the coming stages, it may not be the final tale.
I tell you what, the pace that the 42 of CGMX Rose is running, we all saw him get past the 32 of Drake. Then he caught up and passed the 4 car of Natty Dread. Then he just put I believe it was Daddy B a lap down. Now he just put a lap on the 11 of Silence. So the 42, while he's making these circuits, he's got to practice that little bit of patience there, Rick. If he's gonna continue to navigate through traffic as cleanly as he is, but also these guys that are moving over, holding their line, doing everything they've got to do, they're also showing a lot of respect to the 42 of Rose. Knows what he's capable of, know that he's got a fast car, and this goes to show that what I heard in the out of that practice that these guys held the other night, where Rose was 5 to 7 tenths faster than the rest of the field, it was not a draft lap. It wasn't a fluke. The man is just flat flying, as old Rusty Wallace used to say, and getting the job done.
And right now, he is getting the job done, Pete. I'm looking at this group up in front as now he passes the 88 to the inside, and he'll put him a lap down. This is the group I'm most worried about. You see the 3 and the 12 side by side. They'll start to organize it as Rose starts to get here, but this is the biggest gaggle of cars he's had to deal with. Look farther behind. Smoke, for example, he only will have to pass one more car before he starts with this group. If Rose continues to get held up and is forced to be patient, this could be the killer. And we see this every single time in real life when we go to Bristol, especially early on in races. It's his first time in this race navigating through traffic. You have to imagine he's trying to develop some confidence so that when he has to do it later in the race, he can do it a lot more aggressively and a lot more successfully.
I tell you, Rick, I really thought the 42 of CGMX Rose was really going to get held up right there. The cars in front of him were side by side, and it might, afford the 9 of Amore Smoke to close up just a little bit. Well, Wyatt did do that. Amore's he's got to fight his way through traffic. More and more people are starting to fall to this 42 Credit 1 Camaro for Rose. And, man, these guys either better hope for a caution here pretty soon or hope that they can stay in the lead lap to, get it done. Because if they don't, Rose on with the tear that he's on.
It looks like we have a wreck, Pete.
Yep, I just saw something as well. Wasn't quite sure what that was. I think it might have been the 38.
That was indeed a caution.
Around.
They wrecked into that third corner. Their wish did come true, Pete. They got that yellow after some contact, and this has to come down to the worn tires. But, and there is no yellow. Forgive me. They got that action there, but we still remain green. The 42 of CGM Rose trying to put Outlaw a lap down in that Dow Chevrolet. J-Paw up ahead in the 22. Now as they cross the line, it's Rose leading, Smoke in second. Boehner now sits in third with 11 laps left. And at the top of the show, Pete, Pete. I said they might not go the whole first stage on one set of tires, and I was dead wrong. That's exactly what Rose aims to do.
Yeah, and I'm following along with Boehner, again, gracious enough to kind of stream the night, give us an idea of lap count, fuel, and all that. And Boehner right now, there's no light on for either tires or fuel or anything. And with 10 to go, I don't think he's going to have any kind of a problem whatsoever. And, Word, I just kind of watching the 42 get around, still working with these lap cars as the three of Outlaws really trying very, very hard to stay on that lead lap, or if he does get lapped, at least be the first car one lap down to get that lucky dog. But it really seems that no matter where Rose goes, he's kind of diamonding out the corner. Like you said, diving it deep into the corner and then coming off as close to the apron, or maybe even using a little bit of apron to help this 42 Camaro turn. But so far, very good, very clean, very green the entire stage. I mean, we could have had one caution, I think, maybe one or two, but yeah, game thought otherwise, and so did the admins here in the Cup Series.
Dean, I do want to make one correction. If I'm not mistaken, the 3 got involved in an incident earlier in which he had to pit, so he's multiple laps down right now. But the thing is that he had fresher tires than the 42 on the track, which is the big issue here. And you see the issue now. This is what I worried about most. Obviously, Smoke still has to get around these two, but you see the gap has really, really closed down. If Rose starts to catch here in these final couple laps, it could be risky. He may still lose this stage to the 9 if the 9 can just find a way to clear.
Well, I'll tell you what, Rick, that 9 is there. Those lap cars, fighting with the 3, fighting with the 22, and others has really allowed the 9 of Amore Smoke to catch up. He's just now diving underneath the 3 as the 3 does his best job to hold that car up into the wall. Now Amore Smoke has clean sailing. He could try to do everything he possibly can to catch up to this 42 before the end of stage number 1. But Rick, I just don't think he's going to have enough time. That 42 is just too bad fast.
That 42 has just been the darling of this stage, Pete. With a white flag now in the air, that Credit One Bank Chevrolet takes the final half-mile mark in stage number 1. The 9 of Amore Smoke confidently in second after getting around that lapped traffic. Boehner quite a distance back in third, 4 seconds back at the end of stage number 1. But this was the dominance we saw last night out of the 8 of Combat Beast and the 15 of King Mathers, going the entire stage on one set of tires, unbothered and making it look all too easy, Pete. Expect the 42 of Rose and the 9 of Amore Smoke, your 2 winners so far this year, to be in the contention for win number 3.
Absolutely right, guys. We're going to take a quick commercial break, but as always, we'll be right back to start off stage number 2. You won't miss a beat or a lap or anything at all. We'll be right back. Let's go to NNRLeague.com, the Zazzle tab, take a look at some merch. Here we go.
Hey NNR fans, are you looking for a way to rep your favorite NASCAR Heat preset league on Xbox Live? Look no further. Just go to NNRLeague.com, scroll down to the Zazzle tab, and see what we have to offer. From t-shirts to hoodies to clocks, we have everything you need to show your support. Thanks for being the best fans, and we hope to see you at the track repping that NNR red.
All right, about ready to attack and stack them back up. You didn't miss anything. 42 is CGMX Rose. He's going to start as the control car. 9 of Amore Smoke 2 is outside. So those 2 are the class of the field to end stage 1. Yes, they went the entire distance. There's the 36 of Boehner, 48 of Rowdy, and then there is that deuce of old stout whiskey. He's been able to work his way into the top 5 throughout that run. So by no means is that Ford Mustang out of it by any chance. Now, word, these guys got a chance to go down pit road, got a chance to make any adjustments. Do you think we might see some cars start going sideways, or do you think that this, as I mentioned earlier, they like what they had? Maybe a little bit more speed, a little bit in the left rear to keep it stable, but at the same time, maybe give it a little bit more to the right rear, or just come down on the wedge a click or so and really try to turn some fast laps, see if anybody can keep up with this 42.
think you're going to start seeing the 9 start to get a little bit more sideways, as well as the 48, based upon what their default setups are. Now, knowing Amore, he's typically more of a tight setup guy with his wheel, and he really starts to focus towards the long run rather than the early run. And you're seeing it right now as they battle for second. He's going to have to get very defensive here. But you see Rose right now already in a groove to open up stage number 2. He already has opened about a 6/10 of a second gap as they work off of turn number 2. And I mean, to be honest, Rose, this is going to be very good if they can continue to battle, because if it means that he has this gap catching lap traffic, especially as Rick mentioned before the stage being about 60 or so laps, it's going to be another one of those stages where, again, you're not really pitting and trying to stay on the track as long as you can.
Well, Rick, we'll have to see, because, as the 48 and the 9 were going door to door, side by side for, at least those last 3 or 4 laps before getting single filed here out now. But Rose had to like what he saw. But now, can the 9 actually try to track him back down? He's got some fast cars right behind him. He's got the 48 around. He's got the 36 of Boehner. He's got the 2 car of the one and only Stout Whiskey, with the Aviator not too far off in tow. But now, can these guys run down the 42? Or has the 42 already set to cruise mode, knowing that he's got a fast hot rod and really just has to bide his time? It's going to be a while before he catches any kind of lap traffic.
48 laps to go the next time they cross the line, and car 48 being driven by Alpha York now in that 3rd position. Cars 1, 2, and 4, 1, 2, and 3 in points. CGM Rose some distance ahead of the 9 of Amore Smoke in that aqua-colored Unifirst Chevrolet, and then the 38 of Boehner, who's now in 4th place, sits 3rd, some distance behind these two. Their position on the track, a great metaphor for their position in the points table, and now that 48 being overtaken on the outside. Stout Whiskey merely watching back in that number 2 Discount Tire Chevrolet with the 17 of Aviator behind him, now with 46 laps to go. I predict there's going to be many more cautions in this stage, Pete, as drivers get a little more impatient and tires wear faster.
Rick, I think it's good. Isn't it going to be a beautiful thing when we actually get to give that car away? As I see old Mr. More Than a Cape checking in the chat. That's right, Rick. Tomorrow night is the eSpark NAOR Championship race from Auto Club, and we are going to be giving that diecast that we so diligently and passionately tried to give away, or try to get people to buy a chance to give away all season long. It was $5 for 1 ticket, $3 for 10. We saw people dropping $50, $25, all kinds of money towards a great cause. And tomorrow night, it's all going to culminate into finally giving that diecast that lights up, as Word mentioned a little bit ago, giving it away tomorrow night during that championship race. It's going to be that race is going to be phenomenal. 2 teams that raced their way all the way through. None of them were voted. None of them were a fan favorite. They got the job done on track. We're going to see them tomorrow night, Auto Club, 9:30 Eastern. Don't forget, set a timer, set a reminder. Pay attention to Facebook. Pay attention to Twitter. You're not going to want to miss it. And, man, that 9 Unifirst Camaro is looking pretty good sitting there in P2. But unfortunately, nobody's right now able to catch Rose here, Word.
Did no one quite able to catch Rose, but then again, lap traffic will be coming soon. The one car's, the 24 Kobe is yet again in the inside wall. I'm looking at it right now. There's been arguably no car, in my opinion, that's looked better, other than Rose, obviously, out in the lead, than Boehner, who right now sits in the 3rd position. This 36 has looked very glued towards the bottom. He keeps on peeking to the inside of the 9 here, and if they continue to push a little bit of separation from both Aviator and Stout Whiskey, I would not be surprised if we see Boehner start making a move here for 2nd in a moment, Rick.
Already under the 9 of Amor Smoke, now challenging for second place, and Smoke could be on a tire conservation run. Smoke in the 9 and the 42 of CGM Rose leading this race by some 2 seconds have already proved that they can go the distance on tires. Possibly Smoke might have a bigger problem because he's got the 36 of Boehner right under him, the 17 of Aviator and the 2 of Stout Whiskey now dueling for fourth with the 48 of Alpha looking on. It's uncanny the way the 42 is just running away with this race with a 2-second lead. Next time they cross the line, they'll have 34 laps to go, Pete. They haven't hit lapped traffic yet, but that and yellow flags can be the great equalizer today.
Yeah, right along with the 24 of Coe as he just exits pit road. Just saw the 42 of CJMX Rose go on by. He just screamed on by. And as the 24 comes up on a track, a little bit of slight contact there with the 9, made the 36 check up. So great awareness by those guys, but put that 24 at least 2 more laps down. 42 CGMX Rose out to a monster lead. He's really been the best of the gladiator here around the last great Coliseum all night long. Led pretty much from start to finish in stage number 1. Stage number 2, he has not led up one bit. And man, even with these guys drafting back here, they have not been able to even attempt to reel him in.
Oh, goodness. Something just happened to Bayer there. I'm not sure if he lag searched or hit the apron and lifted. But ultimately, he's now going to drop to the back of this group. He'll fit right in front of Coe and fall to about, I believe, that is the 6th position. Give some credit, by the way, here to Aviator, guys. He's moved up to the 3rd spot. Remember, towards the end of stage 1, he wrecked to the inside wall as he got collected by someone else's incident. And he had to repair some damage. And if I'm not mistaken, he restarted 10th here to open up stage number 2, and he's already raced his way up to the 3rd spot, arguably the biggest mover. That car right now looks really, really good. On the top of the broadcast, it was mentioned too, along him and Stout Whiskey. He's another one that can definitely contend with Rose on the long run if he gets an opportunity in stage number 3.
Yeah, Rick, that 17 Sunny D Mustang right behind that 9 Universe Camaro. Those guys, running 2nd and 3rd, both are running very, very smooth coming off the corner. You don't really see the cars getting jerky or loose or whatever. It seems like these guys put in the time during the week, knowing that Bristol was going to be a tough fight. And they came loaded for bear. They're heads and tails above the rest. Again, still nobody able to catch that 42, but from 2nd to 5th or 6th, they are under they're not exactly under an umbrella, but just a couple tenths between each other.
It's the top 1, then 2nd through 6th, now with a quarter left, about to be 24 laps to go. It's about 3 seconds between 1st and 6th place, but it's another 3 seconds from 6th to 7th place. The 9 of Amor Smoke holding that 2nd place tight, and now the Aviator gets his chance to try for P2. CGM Rose has to keep maintaining that level of concentration at the front, and it must be difficult trying to stay further ahead but not destroy the tires. It'll be 22 laps to go next time by. Word, what could stop that 42 of CGM Rose?
Oh, it's funny. What could have happened to Rose almost happened. Again, we talked about lap cars almost being a worry, and I just looked down at Alpha Your Extreme in the 88, and he's now currently down the pits. But what happened, as Rose was going to lap him, he broke loose and cut across the nose of the 42 car and nearly wiped him out off of turn 4. The 88, as we saw in the broadcast, he was on the inside wall. He now, of course, again, continues on, but Rose may potentially have some nose damage. That could be critical here towards stage number 2, considering the fact that you have to conserve that right front tire. And obviously, if you have nose damage, that means the car only gets tighter and tighter, which could really play to the disadvantage of the 42 here in this one.
Just kind of keeping an eye on Stout Whiskey here. a few people out there in chat wondering where this discount Deuce is, and he really had a moment just a moment ago. Everybody was trying to work their way around that 3 Dow Camaro for Outlaw, and it really bottlenecked 2nd through 5th up. And Stout just about ran into the back 17 of the Aviator. Aviator just about washed up into the side of the 9, which would have caused a big old issue. But Stout got on those binders real quick, didn't hit anybody, and that chain reaction saved 2nd through 5th. So great job by Stout Whiskey. Way to race heads up. Great awareness. And these guys are only being able to push on because Stout was able to get on those binders, not push the issue. It caused a little bit more of a separation from 1st through 3rd, or I'm sorry, 1st to 2nd, but they're all still under green.
Still green, and another lap comes off, and now there's action on the front there. You see lapped cars getting involved. The 17 of Aviator was involved, as was the 9 of Amore Smoke. They're bottlenecking in 1. The 19's involved.
There's
the
the
3 flipping end over end, and there's going to be the yellow flag, as you call it, Pete. And unbelievable scenes in turn 1. What was a peaceful, uneventful race finally has its first yellow.
Man, I tell you what, guys, these drivers can now take a sigh of relief. Aside from the first stage break, you don't get this kind of a chance to, readjust your seat, readjust your hands on the wheel, maybe readjust your pedals for trying to push them through the floorboards. But man, this has to be a very welcome after a whole lot of white knuckle racing all the way around for close to 100 laps, I'd have to say. Don't have an exact lap count right now, but Rick, these guys got to get ready. The break is just about over. We're going to stack them up. Here we go, and it's going to be the 17 and 9 to lead at this time. 42, the 2, and the 36 is going to round out your top 5.
Coming to the line, it's the 17 of Aviator leading in that orange star-spangled Sunny D Ford. He is your new leader, and for the first time since stage number 1, Pete, we have our second leader of the race. Aviator joining CGM Rose as 2 of the very few lap leaders, but the 9 is not giving up the fight. That Unifirst Camaro being piloted by Amore Smoke, now trying the high side with the 2 of Stout Whiskey in tow. 17 leads, 9:42 side by side into 3. We're getting close to the end of stage 2.
Yeah, we got to be getting very, very close to the end. See these guys really racing for all it's worth. In fact, as Boehner came across the start stripe that time, 9 measly laps to go. Can somebody else other than CGMX Rose max stage points from that 42? The 9's all over that back left quarter panel, maybe trying a little bit of side draft, rather. Pushing them up really close to that wall, but not making them get into it. So racing dirty, but racing clean at the same time. Amore is the master of the side draft. I remember the first time he did that to somebody at Auto Club in Michigan. They were amazed at how much they were able to pull them back. Thank you very much, Worm. I'll go ahead and get that taken care of right now. Yeah, we have bent back under green. 17's leading the way. 9-2 has moved up to P3, 42, and then that 36 word.
There's only 13 cars on the lead lap. Boehner should be in 13th as he spun to the inside wall, catching some major damage. But again, you see Aviator out in front with a 3-car train behind. And I'll tell you what, Pete, you hit it right on the top of the broadcast when you made your pick a Stout Whiskey. It's played to his favor. He didn't have the best starting position today. Here in stage number 2 in the late going, he finds himself in the 3rd position. In fact, now looking to the inside of Amore for a second, he creased back in line, looking for that 2nd position. What does Stout Whiskey have to do here to potentially give himself a good chance to lead stage number 3? Because, I mentioned this fact. You want to be on the outside line for the restart. I think Smoke made that very evident. The looseness of the Aviator made it very beneficial for him to get the lead.
I really don't know, and it could be that Stout might try. As it's kind of odd that they're catching a couple of lap cars already, but does Stout just play it safe? Say, you know what? I'm up inside the top 3. I'm going to get a lot of points here this year. Wins aren't a win and you're in. You got to be consistent for the entire season in order to have a chance at the championship. We've seen these guys up in the mix all season long so far, and that's going to be the end of stage 2, bringing the 17 to max points. I tell you what, Rick, the guy out front right now, the 17 of the Aviator, he's a 2-time Cup champ. Nobody else can say that. Able to get it, passing along that message that these guys are lucky he's only part-time while he goes to school. We're going to take a quick break, guys. We'll be right back.
In light
Hey,
if
NNR
possible,
fans,
I just
don't
got
miss
booted
any
at
of
the end of that
action by
stage.
following or subscribing to Repeat's Twitch channel. Turn on notifications and you'll always know when the best preset league on Xbox hits the track. Check out his YouTube channel too to see all of NNR's past races. Follow No Name Racing as well as Repeat 1974
Well, to say this,
on Twitter.
very
and you'll
uncharacteristic
never
of
miss
Boehner.
any of the action.
Didn't realize the stage was coming to an end right there because I saw Boehner's car come all the way up to the apron, up the track. I was like, whoa!
All right, just real quick, 17, 9, 2, 42, and that 48 around. He's going to be your top 5. Excuse me 1 second, guys. We'll get back at it. Rick, right now, buddy, it is all you, sir.
17 to the inside of the 9, side by side, coming out of the 4th corner. Aviator just trying to edge that 9 car. Still side by side into turn number 1. Chevy outside, Ford inside, 2 by 2, 2 rows deep out of the 2nd corner. There goes the 9 just ahead, edging that 17 and to the lead, headed into turn 3. Single file for the 9, 17, 2 on the inside, 42 to the outside, out of turn number 4. Still single file, top 3, 2 of Stout Whiskey now to the inside, into the 1st corner. 9, 17, 2, top 3, 42 on the outside. Alpha in the 48 on the inside, now taking 5th place to himself. 2-way fight out of turn 4, 2 inside, 42 outside. Back to the picture, Pete. 9 leads at Bristol.
You are the man, Rick James. Yeah, 9 of them more smoke up front. 17 of the Aviator sitting P2 for the first time. 42 CGMX Rose finds himself out of the lead in the beginning of his stage. Again, stage 3. Now, here we are starting the longest one. First time I get a chance, I'll go ahead and grab us a lap count, see what we got here for stage number 3. Looks to be right about 118 laps if I read that correctly. First through 5th, actually first through 10th, all single file, much like what we saw in the beginning of the race here, where everybody's pretty much keeping up on that high line unless they're trying to dive something in.
Indeed, and I'll tell you right now, I'm very impressed with this 1-2 combo of the More Smoke and Aviator. Obviously, these two always played very nice together, but to this point, early on in the run, they've been able to at least give a little bit of a gap. Now, the one thing I'm very eager to see is the 17. We see a bumper, and we have a battle for the lead. Here comes Aviator to the inside. They continue on side by side off of turn number 2. 9 has the nose for a moment. 17 again diving to the inside here. Rose slowly closing back up to the bumper as the 9 clears, and Smoke stays in the lead. But what I was going to say is I'm very eager to see what happens here in stage 3. Assuming no yellows, this will be the first time all night long we will officially see everyone take at least one green flag pit stop, which will ultimately make things very, very interesting on what strategies are played here in stage number 3.
Yeah, absolutely. Word, can you do me a favor, please, and check your mic? He's not quite as bad as talking through a fan, but very, very broken. Rick, 9 and the 17 dueling it out. 9 was able to control his position by keeping that high side momentum, but now trying to work past and stay in front of the 17, or fend off that 17, I should say. Do you think having to put that extra wheel, using up a little bit more of that extra right rear to get past and stay right where he is, do you think he just abused that tire? How long do you think we'll start to see that car get a little snappy loose if he did?
Pete, the two-time champion, is a no-time winner, as a More Smoke is the two-time winner just ahead of him, and CGM Rose in third is the other two-time winner this year in 2021 No Name Racing Cup. Aviator has nothing to lose but everything to gain with a win. However, he needs to keep an eye on that lap count. It's going to be 108 laps to go now as they cross the line, and when they began this stage, it was nearly double the length of the first and the second stage. So it's almost one long third stage, two stages back to back, Pete. So the tire management will be crucial, and as you can see already, drivers are less than patient, and these crashes are going to get in the way of strategy.
Now, Word, if you're back, buddy, I'm not seeing the 9 pull up. I'm not seeing the 17 pull up. I'm not seeing anybody pull up and away the same that the 42 did. I have a feeling this Credit One Camaro, he's really just saving his stuff. He knows that once he gets a taste of that clean air, if he gets a taste of that clean air, I should say, he's got a chance just to rock it away the same as he did in Stage 1 and early in Stage 2 before that sole caution came out. We'll definitely have to see, but I think he might just be sitting there biding his time, waiting for somebody to slip up before he can slip on by.
I think the big thing he's looking at right now is the fact that you want to break away from the 48 and be the third and final car in this group. Big thing that's made Rose successful tonight is that he's been very locked in on the long run, especially getting through lap traffic. This will be the first time tonight a More Smoke, he will have to guide his way as the leader through cars and really under pressure. No, Pete, we haven't seen it all night long where really drivers have been under pressure in situations to get around lap traffic. It could play into the benefit of the 42 in that regard. But right now, you could tell he has the speed. He looks a lot faster than both of the guys in front of him. It's just a matter of picking and choosing when he wants to make that move to the inside. Right now, I think he's going to be as content as can be, knowing that he could probably also get back to the lead simply when they make their first green flag pit stop.
Yeah, big shout out right now to my buddy Sweeterfeed. He knows I love this U.S. Air Force 43. This is actually the Diego Pro League version. I love this paint scheme. So Sweeterfeed, if you go back and you watch this, thank you very much for running as a veteran of the United States Air Force Security Forces. Absolutely love it. On the back, aim high. Man, that's a beautiful scheme. That and the 13 Geico Camaro that I think Red ran last season. My two favorites throughout for all the Pro League schemes. Big thank you, Sweeter. But working my way through, talking about the 88 earlier, Alpha York's actually in a new ride. Once the one and only Asbold decided to retire from NNR, it opened up this 88 ride, and Alpha York decided to go ahead and slide on in. Not quite the race I'm sure Alpha York was hoping for, but doing a pretty good job. This Camaro looks pretty clean for the most part. A little bit of issue on the right hand side, but not too bad. I really don't think it's enough to mess with his handling characteristics. But yeah, these guys are doing what they do, and really, only one caution in 3 stages. Guys, they're putting on one hell of a show.
It's an absolute masterclass of skill. We've been racing for less than an hour now, and we're now in the final 100 laps of this race. Should be right around 96 laps to go next time by. The 9 of a More Smoke still leading with the Aviator behind him, and the 42 of Rose tight in the 3rd position, but not really pushing the envelope. You see the 11 of Silent Killer gets into the wall, and now they're going to get stacked up once again. Keep your eye on the 3 of Outlaw. Last time the yellow flag flew over Bristol, that Dow Chevrolet was involved.
Yeah, that unfortunately that Dow Chevrolet he tends to find a lot of cars out there on track, and while he does his best, he tends to find contact even when it's never clearly on purpose. Outlaw is a hell of a driver. Got to meet him in Atlanta a couple years ago. He absolutely tries. Just um, tends to find accidents every now and then. Still working our way through. Looks like the 16, the Fraternal Order of Eagles Camaro for NNR Trip is also retiree and now sitting on pit road. Back up with that 42 now, still behind the 9 and the 17 as they're about to put the 4 car of Natty Dread yet one more lap down.
Goodness, I'll tell you what, the 4 that time nearly bounced off the door of Amore Smoke, and they were able to check up and get around. Now that there's a little bit of a gap here, again, these 3 nose to tail, this is where I'm starting to think here perhaps CGMX Rose is going to try to make a move maybe on the 17 for position. Has a good gap back to 4th. To be honest, it's not really going to hurt him now if he tries to make a move along 17. Of course, if they go side by side, yes, they're going to lose a little bit of time to the 9. But at the same time, you're slowly running out of laps, and you can tell right now, obviously, the 42 has been pushing this group along, really putting some pressure as you see Smoke starting to get a little loose off the exits of corners.
Yeah, Rick, I think that 9, he's starting to really push that, that Camaro maybe a little bit over its limits. Not quite sure. More Smoke's one hell of a driver, known as one of the best around Heat 3, Heat 4, and now Heat 5. I've known the man for a lot of years. Definitely know what he's capable of. Call him a pretty good friend. But, man, he's got a mirror full of Sunny D, and right behind is that 42. Now, if those guys decide to get side by side, maybe the 17, if the 42 tries to duck on under, that might allow the 9 to get a little bit of breathing room, which I'm sure he wouldn't mind right now whatsoever. And that time by 84 laps to go. Rick, it seems like it was just a second ago I said it was 113.
That 42 now to the inside of the 17, and CGM Rose takes second place. And of the 4 races so far, the wins have been split evenly between the 9 of Amore Smoke and the 42 of CGM Rose. Now 82 laps to go as they cross the line. 1 and 2 in points, second and first on the track. That 9 of Amore Smoke, Pete, is good at the front, but I've seen him do better and wiggle the car less, following in second than leading in first. Perhaps the pressure is something that could be getting to him as this stage winds down. If you want to, divide stage 3 into 2 separate stages of 56 laps each. They're getting right to the end of this first run here that's going to be about 50 to 60 laps, and after that they could be good to the finish. But there is the strategy. When do they decide to pit, and how do they decide to use those fresh tires?
Yeah, that's gonna be very interesting to see if they're even thinking about that strategy. And doing the Xfinity and the Cup and the trucks and the E-Spark and an occasional race for turn down for what and whatnot. It seemed like we'd be further into the season, or at least it feels like it to me that we're further into the season. But yeah, Rick, you just said it. We are only at race number 5 of 30. Quite a little ways to go. We got Daytona, and we're actually going to, switch to setups next week when we get to that super speedway. But and then after that, we've got the Roval. I won't be here for that week. The missus said, okay, it's our anniversary week. We are going away. I'll actually be taking her for a tattoo by the guy that you see up on the top of your screen there, smairbrushing.com, for all of your airbrushing needs. I've had a picture show, going on the top right-hand side of just some of his work. So during the Charlotte Roval, I will not be around. It's going to be a hell of a week as the guys, the Truck, Xfinity, and Cup Series all go to the first road course of the season. But man, it's going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to seeing how these guys battle it out. But yeah, it's only the 5th race.
75 laps to go, and this is the 5th race, and it's been a fun one so far, Pete. The fight for the lead is just starting to heat up. CGM Rose now really turning up the pressure on that 9 UniFirst. There you see the 18 slamming to the inside. One thing we didn't catch was that 38 of Boehner, who had gone around twice and now goes from the top 10 down to 13th. there is the fight for first place lead. Pete, the 42 of CGM Rose, trying to take the lead from the 9, but he can't make it stick on the inside. Now that 42 hasn't had trouble in traffic per se, but he's definitely a much faster race car in clean air. You can see he's trying to find a line anywhere behind that 9 car word. It is just impossible now with 72 laps remaining.
And there's another variable which we haven't really seen all day long, and I think that's what hurt the 17 being behind Smoke, is that I think Smoke is having a little bit of lag surging going on, especially in the entry of corners from time to time. So now if I'm Rose, I really have to take advantage. In fact, when you start to catch a lapped car, maybe utilize it as a pick here. It's going to be very hard to obviously go away damage-free behind the 9. At the same time, make a pass since his car is surging back and forth, and you see them continuing battle hard. The 9 slides up the track, Rose this time to the inside, and he continues to stay right on that corner panel, and now again to the inside. But the momentum for Smoke continuing to carry him out in the lead. Gotta wonder if Rose eventually starts to go to the bumper, because it's, when you look at it, Rick, you mentioned the word patience at the top of the broadcast. At this point in the race, you really have no more patience.
In the middle of the broadcast, and I'll mention it at the end of the broadcast too, where patience is paramount. It is key, and that shows why the 9 and that 42 have just gone to the front and stayed at the front. The 42 not exercising much patience right now, but you can't blame him. His car just functions better when he doesn't have someone to pass. So the 9 of More Smoke doing a fantastic job in first, the 42 of CGM Rose holding his own in second. The 17 of Aviator, though, does not go away, and that bright sunrise from that 17 Sunny D Mustang is now about to join the fight for first.
Yeah, it really looks like the 3 Dow Camaro, they've caught up to him one more time. The last time the 42 of CGMX Rose pulled to the inside of the 9, Moore really kept him pinched down on the bottom. That could not, that disallowed the 42 to get back in the throttle when he really wanted to or needed to in order to complete that pass. So More Smoke doing a pretty good job. As you said, he's now, he's been able to use the 3 of, little bit of lag right there. Been able to use the 3 of Outlaw and the 20, I believe that's going to be the 22 right there, but looks like both of them are going to be able to cleanly get on by for the most part. A little bit of a door shot, but not too bad. Still, though, that 42's tail grabbing that 9 UniFirst Camaro all the way around. More Smoke way up high, coming off the corner, down the backstretch, coming to complete one more lap. Again, everybody out there that just joined, thank you very much for coming out, hanging out, chatting it up. Absolutely appreciate it. Lucky Dog, good to see you, sir. We've got, just about, I want to say we're in the 60s right now, so that green flag pit stop for our leaders and others should be coming pretty soon. And exactly at the line, 61 to go, Rick.
61 to go, about to be the big 6-0, the 9 of More Smoke just ahead of the 42 of CGM Rose. They've been managing the lapped traffic well, but just one mistake, one false move from these guys on worn tires, and it could be over, and these tires will wear in a hurry now in the waning laps of stage number 3. But it's the money stage, it's the stage where you have to gamble and you have to let it fly. Let it ride around this concrete roulette coliseum and see what happens. The 4's gone around on the backstretch. We stay green, and now it's a question of when do you pit?
Oh, and that's a big question, in fact, because based upon past races that I've seen, Rick, you ideally want to split this stage in half and be one of the first one to pit. But at the same time, you have to remember, the 9 and the 42, they both know each other better than anyone else. So I'm eager to see if they try to change it up. If one goes short and pits at this halfway point in the stage, maybe does Rose try to expand it about 3 or 4 laps longer? 9 hits the wall. Rose gets to the inside. They continue now side by side off at turn 2. Smoke again getting a run. Now we have a battle for the lead. The 42 the nose for the moment. That one that time too close to call, but they continue to battle hard here for position number 1.
Yeah, looking ahead from the 12 car at Knights, you just saw the 42 and the 9 kind of really battling out door to door for a while. But the 9 was able to use that high line as he's been doing pretty often and keep ahead of that 42 with CGMX Rose. So it looks like Rose, he's going to go ahead and take it on down pit road this time. So it looks like they're not pitting off of 4. They're actually pitting by pulling down on the apron off of turn number 3, riding the apron all the way around, bringing it into the pits, trying to whoa it up. I think it's to about 35 mile an hour here at Bristol. So that is one hell of a task to try to undertake. As you see the 10th place car, old J-Pa, he's going to bring that 22 Shell Pennzoil Mustang down pit road for 4 brand new Eagle Feel Goods. Fill it up with that Sunoco E15 and try to duel it out to the end. Now, Rick, we saw the 42 do just about what we've got left here in stage number 1 on 1 tank and 4 tires. Can anybody else manage it and try to do the same thing, or do you think others might have to, come on in one more time?
Pete, they're going to have a maximum of 66 laps of fuel, and we're just about to hit that mark for the 9 of Amore Smoke. The tires have to be down to the cords. There can be no error now in these laps before your stop, where the out lap has to be perfect and one of the fastest yet. There you see the 9 of Amore Smoke getting loose out of the 4th corner, and that's one of the first times I've seen him lose that much control where he needs to take so much correction. Keep your eye on that mint colored car to see when he comes down for tires and fuel, but this is the crucial time because the 42 is now on fresh tires with 48 laps to go. It's only a matter of time. There's the 9. He's down, and now the chase is on. What will Rose do?
Word, it's going to be interesting to see exactly what Rose will do. It's going to be even more interesting to see what the gap is going to be once these two settle out, settle their differences out there on track. Who's going to come out ahead? Who's going to lose a little bit of time? Who might have been too conservative, or who might have been too aggressive coming onto pit road as the laps wind down? We're right about the mid 40s right now. Watching Amore get his service. Now back to the 17 of the Aviator. He was the 3rd place car. I got to say right now, I think he's in the lead. No, it's actually the leader right now is going to be this car, the 95 of Jose. So again, Jose's running that the bear paint scheme in honor of what the Bears having to go through right now. Man, we definitely wish him all kinds of luck. Mrs. Harbin put some information out there on Twitter if you haven't already seen it. NASCAR Heat retweeted it. Everybody's got him in their thoughts, going through some pretty scary health issues. So everybody out there, keep bearing your thoughts, hoping that we'll see him again in Pro League Season 3, when or if that ever kicks off.
Sterlo now pulling away. Sorry about that word. Sterlo pulling away from Jose, leading in that 95. The 48 and the 9 are now out on the track. Word.
I was going to say, right now, if you're Jose, you would love to see yellow, because ideally you trap a bunch of cars a lap down. By the way, you wondered about the 42 and the 9 in the pits? Well, it played to the favor of CGMX Rose. Not only does he have a straightaway gap, it's almost even more than that as he works off of turn number 2. He's starting to catch the 95, who now dives down into the pits. This should cycle Rose back out to the lead. The ultimate question is, does the tire advantage for Amore Smoke give him a chance to run this 42 car back down, who has been electric in clean air?
42 of Rose currently leading and coming out of this 2nd corner. that 42 car leading by that straightaway, as you said, Word. He's behind that 24 of Coe. The 95 gives up the lead, and it will cycle to Rose, having the race in his hands. So it is his race to lose. But if this lap count tells us anything, like stage 1 and stage 2, he can go the distance on these tires. It will be down to skill, but now the task falls to the 9 of a more Smoke, who has to use more resources to make up the gap. As always, this is Bristol, and the one great equalizer, Pete, the caution flag, could change everything. As the 42 crosses the line, we have less than 40 to go. Back to you, Pete.
I appreciate it. I saw that a while back, too. Thanks, buddy. I tell you, 95 had some issues trying to get on and off pit road. I don't think he's going to be doing anything extravagant anytime soon. He lost a ton of time. I think he got spun out and then actually missed his entry into pit road. Right now, though, your leader, the 42 is CGMX Rose, about to catch up to the 36 of Boehner. They're on the same straightaway, and that's 13th place. So, yeah, more and more cars going laps down. These leaders between the 42, the 9, the 17, the 48, the 2 is Stout Whiskey, and others have set a phenomenal pace all night long. And even while they're battling it outward, whether they're side by side, door to door, bumper to bumper, whatever, any bit of slight contact, they've still been able to maintain their pace.
Did they have, and I have a question in terms of the running order, because I wonder if Rowdy right now is actually in the second position, because if I recall, he was running in 5th, was one of the first drivers to pit. Yet again, I could be wrong. He's looking mighty fast right now behind the 42 car of CGMX Rose. But you see the gap getting farther and farther as, now the 12 car around on the inside. I'll tell you what, Rose played this perfectly. He knew what strategy he needed to go with, and right now, he's in a land of his own. I mean, the car looks dialed in. It's been the best it's been all night long. And I really think he learned from his failure last week at Homestead to be conservative, pick the right moments to battle. Well, now he has control of this race and very well an opportunity to control his fate to pick up potentially his 3rd win on the season here in the 5th race of the year.
It's 28 laps to go, and the 42 of CGM Rose trying to win his 3rd race of the year and extend his lead at the top. He comes into this race with a 20-point lead over Amor Smoke in that number 9. Boehner comes in 3rd in points with 131 points. That puts him just around 42 short of the lead. But Boehner finds himself in the 13th position, 2 laps down, on the cusp of going a 3rd lap down now with 26 laps remaining. The top 2 in points are having a field day so far, and with the laps getting closer to the checkered flag, Pete, it's still anybody's race if the caution comes out.
I really gotta wonder as I watch the 48 of Rowdy come on up, get to the outside of CGMX Rose, and then pull away, or able to complete that pass on the outside. I'm wondering if Rowdy's not backing it down just a little bit, trying to conserve a little bit, or if something has happened. Has he incurred some kind of damage that's made him tight, or what? I mean, I see just a little bit of a little bit of Bondo up on that right-hand side. The right-hand side hood is sticking up just a little bit. 48, I'm sure that car's no cream puff right now either, but something's going on, because the 48 just went around the 42 on the outside. You don't see that very much here in Bristol.
Well, I would like to believe he is a lap down, but then again, I wasn't sure, because in that cycle of everything going on, I recalled him being in the 5th position, but indeed, looking up in the stream, he must have been a lap down, which is why Rose let him go here on the fresher tires. Still, the gap is massive, and you look back to Amor Smoke, he's really in a big, big hole right now. Obviously, he's got to try to catch the 42, but you see now, he has to deal with 7 That's right, 7 lapped cars before he even has a chance to get open lane to start catching Rose. I think this 9 needs a caution here, Rick, to have a chance, because if you remember how he was on the outside lane back in stage number 2 on that final restart, he was electric. If he gets that opportunity again, he may be able to yet again take advantage of that opportunity.
Now, less than 19 laps to go. CGM Rose going for the three-peat. 3 wins in a row for that number 42 Credit One Chevrolet behind the 48 of Rowdy. Coming to take another lap. Rowdy sits ahead in the 48, and then ahead of Rowdy is the 88 of Alpha York, now with 17 laps remaining. That gap to the 9 car is massive, almost insurmountable, Word, but you mentioned that yellow flag. With the way they've been racing tonight, I wouldn't bet on it, but it would be a sight to see, and it would sure set up a wild, wild finish.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, last week we saw a bunch of green-white checkers at Homestead, and even Pete could tell you it wasn't really a caution-filled race. Cautions just happened to come out in the end. This is a track where if you bring out a caution in the late going and you head to a green-white checkered, expect for there to be a bunch. When you get these guys all together in restarts, they're going to go for it all. The odds, pretty minimal. It's still very much spread out. Obviously, we know who the top 2 are, and obviously back to Aviator in a 17 who sits in 3rd. But overall, the spread of the field right now makes it very unlikely that we'll see that magic C word, Rick.
See what happens now. Less than 15 to go. We should be coming to around 12 laps to go next time by, and we don't want any C word to come out and damage this race here, but the concrete jungle that is the Bristol Motor Speedway has played host to a beautiful race. Pete, now inside the last lucky 13 laps, Smoke continues to pull away with this one, and the Stage 1 winner almost has this one in the bag.
Yeah, he's almost got this in the bag, and the sentimental favorite of Stout Whiskey. We talked about him at the top of the show about trying to go for a run of 3 wins, unless that C word, unless that caution flies, unless I put that back up on the screen when these guys come on back down to pace speed. I don't think that Deuce is gonna have a chance to come on up and get past that 42. CGMX Rose has put on a stellar performance here. I think somebody actually mentioned in Twitter earlier today or yesterday that CGMX Rose has led every stage so far in this season, but this tonight broke that cycle when the 17 of the Aviator led stage number 2. But man, it's been a phenomenal race. Going to work my way back up to that 42 as we're closing down these laps, Rick. It's been one hell of a race, 1 racing caution, then your stage breaks. So, these guys have been at it all night long. I'm sure they can't wait for this to be over, but everybody wants to be in that spot.
It's going to be about 8 laps to go the next time. 7 laps to go the next time that the 42 crosses the line. CGMX Rose has done a wonderful job tonight, but that's not to diminish the efforts of a More Smoke in the 9 and Aviator in the 17. Part-time or not, this Sunny D Ford Mustang has been the sunshine in today's Bristol race, and what a bright way to make that fresh appearance in this schedule. Back to the front within the final 5 laps, Pete, the 42 of CGMX Rose in control.
Yeah, again, going back to that 17 Sunny D. Aviator, he's in school right now trying to get everything that he's got to get done to become a fighter pilot in the United States Navy. I fully support the kid. Great future in front of him. He's a very, very bright man. And I tell you, I think he could have gone for 3 if he was able full time, but what he's got planned for his future, this is just a game. What he wants to do is real life, and I applaud him. So great great on, the Aviator in a big way. 42 though, nobody's been able to touch him. Coming to these closing laps, as you said earlier, we've been riding along with Boehner for lap counts and whatnot. And as he comes across the start stripe, as you said, I think he's 2 laps down. So this might be our white flag right here.
It's the 42 of CGMX Rose in grand control, and that is not it. The 42 is just slow off the corner there, Pete. And actually, Pete, I think that was it, Pete. That must have been the checkered flag there. The 42 of CGMX Rose coming away as the victor, 2.5 seconds ahead of a more smoke. Stout Whiskey coming home in third, Aviator fourth. So a big shout out to the 42 winning in that Credit One Chevrolet. The 9 of the 9 of a more smoke in second. Stout Whiskey rounding out the podium.
Yeah, great job by Stout. 2 wins and a third place in 3 races here at Bristol. It's not a win, but I tell you what, he's definitely got a car that's dialed in. A more smoke was up there as well all night long, but it just didn't seem like anybody really had anything for the 42. I was told a couple of days ago in a practice that the 42 was the class of the field then. He was the class of the field tonight. Guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We will be right back with post-race interviews. Man, looking forward to seeing what these guys got to say about this very, very long green flag race tonight. We'll be right back. All right, guys, we are back again with our top 3. We're going to start it off with the one and only driver of the Discount Deuce Old Stout Whiskey. Word, why don't you go ahead and pick up the man?
Indeed, well, I'm here with the third place finisher of Stout Whiskey and Stout. Yet again for you, another great week. Last week, picking up the victory at Homestead, and then a podium finish here tonight at Bristol. I know it's not necessarily the result you wanted, a win, but you have to be feeling pretty confident that the momentum's been on your side of late.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we came with a good piece tonight. Ran really strong. I got damage from guys there, not being patient or being roadblocks. It's crazy, man, because I'll lift and get out of anybody's way, but when the shoe's on the other foot, it doesn't happen. So moving forward, you can bet your ass that if someone's quicker than me, I will not be moving out of the way, and I will not be lifting if people cut my nose off. I didn't have anything for Rose. Definitely felt like we had the second best car, and unfortunately, we didn't get to show it. But good thing is we get to come back to Bristol later in the year, and you can bet your ass we're going to get that trophy.
And you refer to cars not getting out of the way. In terms of, I believe it was the second stage at one point, there was a bunch of cars merging on and off the track and really getting in the way. I believe Boehner, for example, was one instance after a wreck, I believe off of turn number 2. How hard was it to navigate these lap cars tonight? Obviously, you mentioned you got a bunch of damage. I mean, with there being really no place to pass, I would have to imagine it's been pretty difficult.
Actually, were not for me, man. you ask anybody that I race with, you race with me. I race like a gentleman, and 99% of the time I get raced that way, and it really pays off. It's like paying it forward. You be good to people, they're good, they'll be good to you. But certain individuals are going to learn the hard way moving forward.
Now, for you, it's a great start in terms of the points. You're already top 5 in points, and you're continuing to move up further and further. Next week, we head to Daytona, another track which, yes, you necessarily can't control your fate. Knowing you love to get up and aggressive and try to lead some laps. What's going to be your strategy going into next week, Daytona?
It's a lead that bottom line or top line. I want to hear Pete, Rick James, and yourself talking about Stout Whiskey leading that field around the whole race. That's the plan.
Any shout outs for your result here tonight?
Yeah, always. Shout out to my pops. Shout out to the guys I work with, Dan and J-Pa and Quims. And as always, thank you guys for the job you do in the booth. You guys do a wonderful job. And I mean, I'll be honest with you, I went back and watched the end in the last week about 60 times, not because I won, just because it's like, listening to MRN, man. I still listen to MRN. I actually mute the television because I just can't stand any of those guys that talk on TV, and just listen to MRN, listen to those guys call the action. So, thank you guys. Thank everybody that hung out and watched. Just appreciate everything here at NNR.
Gabriel Stout Whiskey, your third place finisher here tonight at Bristol. We headed back to you here in the booth.
All right, Rick James, this next guy did a phenomenal job. Kept that 9 pretty close to the front all night long. I think this might be the first time you ever get to talk to the one and only Smoke, but I can guarantee you, as competitive and as consistent as Amore is, it won't be the last time. It's driver 9 for you, sir.
Driver of the number 9 UniFirst Chevrolet Camaro, Amore Smoke. We saw you lead a good number of laps today, and you hung in the top 3, let alone the top 5, all day. What was your secret to having such a strong race car?
Just track position. Just hang in there on the outside line. Just don't make too many mistakes, and that's about it. Just kept track position all race. Didn't really fall back in traffic too much.
At times, you made it look rather easy leading the race, but towards the end of this stint, we saw you lose control on worn tires, especially trying to get around lapped traffic. What was the biggest obstacle in your race today?
Not knowing when to pit on that last stop. I was kind of nervous. I didn't want to pit and a caution come out and get trapped a lap down, so I stayed out a little too long and lost too much time on the track there at the end. I probably should just pit when Rose pitted and try to keep the lead, but I tried a different strategy and it just didn't pan out.
You fought hard, and it was a brave strategy as well. For all your hard work and your efforts, you get the silver medal today. Congratulations on second place.
Appreciate that.
Back to you, Pete.
Thank you, buddy. All right, hashtag Young Gun, hashtag Win with Rose. It seems like is the call anymore. Lewis Zader, CGMX Rose, buddy, you got your ears on.
Yep, gotcha.
I tell you, Rose, somebody said in either Facebook chat or Twitter or something like that you have led just about every stage in this season so far. I think the 17 kind of told y'all during stage 2 that you guys are lucky he's not running full time this season. But, man, you had that thing up. You were on cruise control. It didn't really seem like anybody can touch you. But yet when you had a little bit of dirty air on the nose of that Credit One Camaro, Chip Ganassi didn't quite have everything under you tonight. But yet you still got it done. Talk us through your race. Talk us through your strategy. Give out that setup if you care, because I'd love to have it. And, man, what are you looking forward to when we get to Daytona next week?
Well, first off, I want to thank all the guys for keeping the race clean for the most part. We had 25 cars on one track at Bristol, which is a tough task on its own, so shout out to everybody for keeping it green. But like Amor said, it was just track position all race long, and I had it throughout those first two stages, and then in the middle of stage two, we had a caution come out, and I had damage, so I said might as well repair it, and I just wasn't able to get back through the field quick enough to get that stage win, but I knew I had a good long run car, and heading into that third stage, I just stayed right on Amor and Aviator, and I just kept pace with them, and then I pit when I felt was the right time, and it ended up panning out, and I got the
Yep.
win.
Yeah, we saw you and Amor side by side many times throughout the night. It seemed like when you were down low trying to challenge to try to get up past him, Amor would come on down and he's like the master of side drafting, keeping you pinched down without touching you to where you can't get back in the throttle. How frustrating was it at those points where you knew that you were better on the longer run than it seemed like most? But you just couldn't get past him at that point and try to set sail like we saw in stage one, which, by the way, stage one, you're the combat beast, man. You went all the way. You went the full stint on the tires and the fuel. You had everybody, you had me, Word, and Rick completely mesmerized how you were able to do that. But talk us through, just the intense battles that you had real quick.
Yeah, me and Moore were up there for I felt like an eternity. I was trying to get a run on him, and I just couldn't do it. And he would make a just tiny mistake, and I'd get under him, and I just could never get the run off on those worn out tires. So my one option was to pit earlier than him, and that's what I did, and that's what ended up getting me out in front of him, and it worked out.
Well, buddy, you got win number 3 on the season. It seems like you and Amor just keep throwing it back and forth. Amor went 2 for 2 in the first couple races. You've gone 2 for 2 in the last 2 races. Now here we are, race number 5. You got your third of the season already. Those championship points are getting better and better. The race points are getting tighter and tighter. Congratulations on yet another win this season. Again, looking forward to Daytona. We're looking forward to seeing you there. Any shout-outs from you, buddy?
Yeah, you guys in the booth, Rick James for coming along tonight. I'm not sure if he's coming on for the season, but thanks for doing this. Chloe for putting this on, Stout, Amor for that battle there on the last stage. And, yeah, all the drivers, like I said earlier.
All right. Word Burton, any final thoughts? And during the week, where else can everybody find you, sir?
Indeed. Well, you can find me again at I've Been Tim Moore on both Instagram and Twitter. And, of course, as you know, you can find me in the Filter Time eSpark series on Sunday nights, as well as RSR and the Filter Time eSpark Xfinity series, and as well as SXRL on Saturday nights. But I do want to add on this conclusion. Pete, we saw it tonight. Racing was awesome. The fact that there was only one caution the entirety of 250 laps of Bristol is obviously outstanding. The fact that these drivers were able to put together a consistent race without too much contact and too many issues is definitely a compliment to how this NNR season in Cup has gone as a whole. When you go to Daytona next week, considering how exciting the 1.5 mile races were, especially Michigan and Auto Club, I cannot wait to see what Daytona turns out to be next Thursday night.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Next Thursday night, they're going to setups during the super speedway. So Daytona and Talladega, it's all out. I'm sure that the guys that are in here maybe not used to tuning and tweaking, or they're going to be reaching out to you and Lucky Dog and maybe Rock NASCAR and a few others saying, hey, I've seen during the Pro League and I heard conversation about a 3-gear setup. You use that 4th gear for fuel saving. Dohar is a master of fuel saving. Maybe some guys will reach out to him and say, hey, what can I do for that 4th gear? How big are the runs when we try to take it to the outside? I'm sure if they've got friends that run in any kind of setup race, it's going to be they're going to be their best friends as we look forward to Daytona. Excuse me. Rick James, how about you, sir? Any final thoughts? And I know where I can find you tomorrow night, but where else can everybody else find you during the week, sir?
They can find me on Twitter at I'm Rick James 36, and right here on Twitch, I am Rick James 36. They can find me here on Twitch, Twitter, and as you said, tomorrow night, Pete, the Xbox League Community Tournament Final right on this channel, twitch.tv/repeat 1975 is where you and I will be tomorrow night.
Yeah, I can't wait. You know, we were talking to More Smoke earlier. That Credit One Camaro that he was driving around Bristol Motor Speedway is the same exact car that Chase Elliott put into victory lane during the All-Star race. Yes, the die-cast glows. We're not selling tickets anymore. That's been a done deal. I think at last count, I mean, there was like 150 to 175 tickets. It's going to be interesting to see how or whose name is called for that die-cast. And I think, a little birdie told me that the one and only Atlanta Racing might have a little bit of a hookup to try to get that car signed, and if he can, that's another great little extra for whoever wins that car. Plus, I think more than a cape mentioned that he's got another diecast that he's going to surprise somebody else with, but we'll just keep that kind of under wraps. Nobody else will know about that. The guys out there in chat right now, they didn't hear that part. But man, I'm absolutely looking forward to Auto Club tomorrow night, 9:30 Eastern, when you and I call NAOR versus eSpark live for the first ever community championship. It's going to be one hell of a time. Until then, and until next Tuesday night, guys, I am Repeat 1975. It's been a blast having you guys along all night long. We'll see you tomorrow night. We'll see you next Tuesday, 9:30 Eastern for the trucks, 8:30 Eastern for Xfinity, and 8:30 Eastern for Cup, all from Daytona. It's gonna be a great time. In just a moment, I'm gonna send all y'all over to some iRacing. And we will see you next week. Thanks again. Stay healthy, everybody.